Hello everyone, welcome to the Dice Cast, our Dungeons & Dragons web series. I am S.A.N, and with me I have...
Yes, man.
When last we left off, Aquans Jonas found themselves in a monastery which had been thoroughly decimated and overrun with undead. With the aid of the sole surviving member of the monastery, Brother Dorn, they managed to put down most of the zombies and the wight responsible for raising this undead army and decimating Dorn's brothers and sisters.
Yep.
They managed to acquire some interesting things and also found a subterranean catacombs which appeared to be an older temple upon which the monastery was built to, dedicated to some mysterious goddess neither of them recognized.
Yep.
At the end of that such encounter, after they rested, they found that all of the corpses outside the monastery had vanished. From previous information and discovering of tracks from a wagon, they deduced that a mysterious, large, cloaked figure carrying a wagon on their own, by their own strength, had carted off the remaining corpses for as of
looked like an ogre to me.
For as of yet undetermined purposes. Dorn had decided to head off on his own. At Jonas's urging, he suggested heading in the direction of the plateau and lakeside. And that is really all that happened last time. So I'll turn it over to you now.
Alright, so at the end of our last session, we were in the morning. Dorn had already left us a note, and we are about to continue our journey. The weather today is a little bit cooler. As we've mentioned before, we are starting to head into fall.
We probably would be in fall at this point.
Yeah, actually that's true too, so whenever the seasons are what they are.
Seasons are what they are.
It seems a little cooler. It is damp today, and there seems a bit more mist on the ground.
Given that civilization has fallen at this point, there isn't likely an established calendar.
What? No daylight savings time?
No,
Anyway.
I mean, there's so many farmers in the world and it's so hard for them.
Yeah. So, there you go. There's no real preamble today. We are starting at the morning. We've already eaten. Dorn has already taken off.
There's one thing that I want to look into.
What's that?
A few times now it's been pointed out that I've almost been hit or should have been in situations where I should have been hit, but somehow I've avoided it, as you've pointed out twice. And yes. I do admittedly have my new pair of magical bracers, which boosts my armor class a little bit, but a few times it's been pointed out and doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm trying to just make sense of that at the moment. I have no idea what I'm supposed to roll here for that, though.
What do you want to do?
Well, I just want to bring that to a few times. I'm just going to say this to you. A few times, I was almost struck twice now. When
6 times, actually.
what? Sorry.
3 times, actually.
Oh. I've noticed twice myself. Where I should have been.
Times that you should have been hit. That you were not.
That I was not, and I did not use shield to defend myself, and the bracers his magic didn't seem to manage it, so it's an odd occurrence that's come up a few times now.
Alright. And I repeat, what would you like to do about it?
I don't know, you're the one who keeps bringing this up. Well, assuming that there is some sort of magical means doing this, I just want to see if I can reason out what's going on here, most of all. I don't know.
Alright.
I'm not sure what the wording is that you're looking for, unfortunately.
You're a wizard. You're familiar with the arcane.
Yes?
If you want to use your experience and try and figure out the possible cause of this, I will allow you to make an Arcana check.
Okay. Just
no advantage.
No advantage. No, I was like no disadvantage because I was asking for something very strange here. So.
It's a high DC.
Okay. I think it's going to be too high. 9 total.
That's very puzzling.
It was not a 3, but it's not the same die that was rolling all the 3s last session.
Regardless, it does not seem this morning that you can puzzle it out.
I mean, the closest thing I can think of has something to do with that trickster that we encountered, but that's about it.
That's a possibility, but not with that roll.
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright.
Would you like to leave it at that for the moment?
I really cannot think of anything else to try and do. I identified the bracers. I know that they're just the standard bracers of defense. So they do not affect my armor class beyond what they do.
Yeah.
You identified that ring you got from that little puzzle box, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Okay. It was just a standard ring of protection?
+1 ring of protection.
Okay. I really do not... I've cast Detect Magic so many times since then, I would have noticed any other spells or magical effects around us, so...
You did not cast Detect Magic and state that you were looking for anything different. You were looking at a specific item, or you're looking for something in the area. You were not focusing on stuff that was on us.
Okay, well, since we're just at the start here, I think actually I'm going to take the 10 minutes I need to ritual cast Detect Magic, and I'm just going to look for anything, any magical auras around us that are any different than normal.
Alright, go for it.
Okay, so I ritual cast Detect Magic.
Yes.
Do I have to roll for anything here?
Yes, okay. The auras of magic around us
Yep.
are the same as they were before, but they're, depending upon how well you roll this Arcana check this time, you may notice a subtle difference.
Okay, so is this still just a straight roll?
Straight roll.
Alright. 10 better, 19.
When you look at yourself and you're trying to discern if there's any of the magical auras around you that are any different
Than the stuff that I'm currently wearing.
Yeah. You notice that the bracers seem to be giving off a slightly stronger aura of magic.
Alright, but that's odd. I identified them. They were just standard bracers of defense.
That's correct.
Alright, well, having noticed this, I'm going to identify them again, I guess.
Alright, so you spent 10 more minutes and you cast it.
11 minutes, I'm afraid, for...
Oh my god, that's right.
11 minutes for identify, but yeah, we haven't set out yet, so this seems like a good time to experiment with this.
Alright.
I'll identify the
11
brace.
minutes goes by. You don't need to roll for anything this time because it's all in the spell.
Yep.
These are not your bracers. These bracers are +3 bracers of defense. And there seems to be an additional magical quality to them that you can't discern.
What happened to the bracers defense I took off the body? Where did these come from? That bloody trickster, I say.
Well, are you relaying this to me?
Yes. I mean, that is my reaction.
Is that what you say? You cast it? That bloody reason. Alright. So I ask you, of course, what you mean,
And I'm going to explain that these are not the same bracers that we found on that dead wizard.
No, it seems that he wants his claws in us regardless. But, at least so far, it seems quite benign.
Oh yes, so... Oh yes. A trickster that is benign, that's...
Well, I'm sure there's going to be some time when we're going to have to pay for this. But, for the moment,
The one time when someone just doesn't want you to say no.
Exactly. One of those deals where, you know, there is no such thing as a choice. So you were.
So apart from having an argument with the current DM about player agency, what?
Alright, armor class is one better.
So these are +1 bracers?
No, +3.
Okay, yeah. But the standard, alright.
Alright, sorry, yes. Your bracers normally give you an improved armor class by 2. These give you an improved armor class by 3. They're a better bracer. Maybe. Anything else you want to do before you head off?
Shout obscenities about that into the air with that trickster. Doesn't sound like something. Nah, it doesn't sound like something I would do. But good grief, he's in so much trouble the next time I see him.
All right, so we head off.
Yes.
I would like you to roll a survival check for me with advantage, please, because I'll be helping. Oh, that good, huh? Is it better than the 3 or worse?
They're both better than the 3. Your assistance counts for 1. One was a 4, and the other was a 5.
Okay.
So with my survival, which is just my wisdom bonus, that's an 8.
That is terrible.
That is terrible. I think we're going to lose the river.
Alright. As I stated earlier, it is considerably mistier this morning. Because of the slightly cooler atmosphere, and we are not. This picture here of the forest is not quite accurate anymore because it seems to be getting more and more open. So it's not as deep and dark and mysterious as it has been. The river is obviously there. It is too difficult to miss.
Unless I rolled a 1.
Yeah, unless you roll a 1 and then we'd have just wandered off into the mist. But the one thing you notice is the elevation of the ground seems to be going slightly downhill as we proceed during the day. And we are noticing patches of marsh now. The trees are, they have a, like what are we, if you were in the southern U.S., would be like sphagnum moss hanging from them. There's more weeping willows. There's more dead trees because some of them has been drowned out by these pools of marsh. This is obviously not always as flooded as it currently is. Mm-hmm. So some trees have died. Nothing untoward seems to be striking your senses about any of this. But because of your lovely skills at navigating, we are trying to weave through these
our lovely skills at navigating. That was with your assistance.
So, as we're doing this, we did not notice one of the particular pools, and we got a little too close to it. And out of the pool, these very familiar tentacles of water are now...
Oh, these things.
These things. So I would like you to roll initiative, please.
Alright. Combat very early to the session. Rolled above a 10 once so far. 9.
You're doing terrible. I shouldn't talk. I rolled a 7 plus 2 is 9, so...
So you're going before I am, though, because your dex is higher.
Yep.
What about them?
That's what I'm going to find out now. Oh, they're going before us. They have a 14.
That's not very surprising.
So,
how many of these things are there?
Let's find out. There are 3 of them. So, one is going to attack you, one is going to attack me, and one is going to go for the usual odds and evens. What's odds again? What's evens?
When I do it, it's usually odds you, evens me. But I don't know about you.
That's exactly the way it's going to be, because that way 2 are attacking you, not me.
Oh, so You are reversing it to what I do. If it was
No,
odds.
you're still evens, I'm still odds.
Oh, okay.
One of them just doesn't come anywhere near you.
Okay.
The other one rolled a 13. And this is you. 4 times now.
Well, now I know what it is.
Oh, I'm not as lucky. I get tagged with an 18.
This running trend of the campaign is your monsters not liking you when you DM.
Yeah, I know. So, I am going to get tagged with... Oh, good lord. 5 points of damage. And a saving throw.
Yep.
Just enough to roll 12 with 8 plus 4. Well, I'm not paralyzed, which is nice. Now it is my initiative.
Yep.
I disengage, and I back up 30 feet away from your attack range of these things. That was my action and my movement, so I don't have any bonus actions. It's your turn.
Alright, well, I will follow suit.
Alright.
As boring as that is.
Yes, I know. It was not meant to happen. I would like you to roll now another survival check with advantage.
Well, at the very least, that had 0 consequences. And is really?
True, we could have been paralyzed, could have been hit, but it worked out fine.
Oh, well, I'm sure more exciting combats await us. Oh, wow. My dice today are rolling very close together.
Hopefully better than last time.
It is 12, but they were both 9s.
Alright, so we managed to back out of that little path towards nothing but marsh. We circle around, bypassing that particular pool, and we continue on. The marsh patches are getting more and more frequent now. We can still stick to relatively high sections, roots, logs, that sort of stuff, just to keep away from being attacked. And we managed to find around about midday a nice dry spot where we can, well, a dry-ish spot where we're going to have lunch and continue on. Something interesting happens a little while later. We come to a particularly low area, which is, as far as we can see, in both directions, the river is actually now merging with the swamp. The mist has died down a little bit. We can see where the river continues, but it's a good 300-400 yards to the other side. And you have 2 choices now. You can try wading across, or we could head, instead of on our northeast path, we can head southeast and try and skirt around it.
Can I just look around and see just how far we are going to have to travel to...
Roll a perception check, please. You can have advantage because I'll be helping you, and so will my owl.
16.
You're in the process of looking around, trying to figure out a path that can take us around this, how long it would take and everything, when you notice a rather odd thing. First off, you see none of those gelatinous, almost blobby things that are floating around the water that create the water tentacles. You don't see any here.
Okay.
You do notice, it's kind of obscured by the mist a little bit, but there seems to be what must be a fairly tall individual sitting in the middle of this marsh. Obscured by a bit of some dead trees and logs, that's why you didn't see it initially. Sitting there. In the middle of the marsh.
Let's see. There is some very tall individual sitting in the middle of the center of this marsh.
I take it you like my owl to do a flyby to see what that is.
That would be nice, yes.
Alright. So I send my owl out. I'm looking
marsh giant.
Alright, hold on a second.
I don't think they exist in Dungeons and Dragons.
It is actually just a hill giant.
Oh.
Yes, a hill giant.
Oh, the aggressive kind.
Yes. Well, that's what I identified it as anyway. Yeah. It is sitting in the marsh. It has this club near it, which basically is just a tree.
Yeah.
It's been mildly shaped. But the odd thing is, it is covered in what you would call these jelly-like things. It's just covered in it.
Oh, that's where they all went.
It's sitting there, has an odd look on its face, but it's not responding to anything. It's just sitting there.
Who knew? Maybe these gelatinous blobs are parasitic or something. They've taken this thing as its.
There you go. They're gonna mind control them, and it's gonna come up and attack us.
I didn't. Well, no, I just meant they might just be feeding off of it. All right. Well, first instinct is to avoid a hill giant.
All right.
Do you have any problems with that?
It's up to you.
Well, I'm asking, does this interest you, or do we just go around and avoid it?
I am curious. I'll give you that.
Well, so am I, but the hill giant is not exactly a minor threat. If it turns aggressive, we may not be able to handle that.
That's entirely possible, yes.
So, returning to the question I actually asked originally about that perception check is, how far would we have to go around in order to avoid this marsh?
Indeterminate. We'd have to head in a southeast direction and wait until we can eventually get enough higher ground to skirt around and come back. As long as this particular marsh is not too convoluted, the chances of it getting lost are fairly minimal. But once we head in that direction, we are going to lose sight of the river.
Is it possible to head in the other direction?
Across the river?
Yes, and follow that way to try and skirt around.
Yes, you cross the river in a way.
Right,
The bank on, this bank here, which has always been on the opposite side of what we've been traveling on, seems to be slightly higher ground.
Right, I'm just going to broach that with you in conversation to how you feel about possibly going on the other side of the riverbank and trying to go around the marsh that way.
Well, at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any jellies near us.
Yes.
They do seem to be doing something with that giant over there.
Yes.
We don't know what it is, but it looks like most of them are over there, or if not all of them.
Yes.
So we have two options. We can swim across. It's not that far. About 40, 50 feet across at this point.
So I can dash across and just make it to the other side.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, I can. You, on the other hand...
I, on the other hand, would have to swim.
Or... It wouldn't take too long.
I can use the patch on my jacket, my cloak, to make a boat. And
that sounds like a waste of a very valuable resource, because we're not going to be able to turn that back into a patch.
True. The boat will be a boat, and it'll sit here in the marsh.
Yes, and we're not carrying it with us.
No. Those are our options. You could just almost misty step across.
Not quite.
Not quite. So yeah. What would you like to do?
Well, we could swim across.
Yep.
That would get us across the marsh, or just the river?
That gets the other side of the river, and then we can continue on that side of the bank until we pass the marsh. It does seem to be slightly higher elevation there, so it is not as wet.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, while we're considering the subject, can I see the other side of the marsh at all? Or is it just continue as far as I can see?
You we're not looking specifically for that the first roll, so I'd have you roll another perception check.
This trend continues, me rolling my 2 dice rolling the exact same number. 15.
You think you can make it out. The problem is there's mist playing with this, right? But you notice in the distance, above the mist line, there seems to be more trees that are alive and healthy versus the amount that are dead and healthy in this particular spot. So you think the marsh ends in about 300, 400, 500 yards. It's hard to say. It is a ways off.
So much further. I think our best option is to swim across this river, go to the higher ground, and try to skirt around this marsh that way.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do that then.
Okay. I am going to. I'll lead the way. I'll swim across.
All right.
I'll use my action to dash to get across.
I hang on to your back.
So I don't make it all the way across because I'm dragging you.
Exactly. I'm not swimming across this. I got leather jacket and pants and a hat.
I can dry you when we are on the other side.
That's okay.
You're going to get wet regardless.
True. But this way I don't have to swim. And yes, I know how to swim. But...
Yes, and you also spent your entire life outdoors and in the woods and all sorts of things, so I didn't take you for being lazy.
This is not so much lazy as just something I want to do.
Anyway, I swim across, apparently dragging you by the scruff of my collar.
Or your cloak or whatever, yes. Anyway, I would like you to roll a stealth check, please.
Alright, that I do not have advantage on.
No, you do not.
Oh, but I did roll a natural 20. And this is where it falls apart, where you roll.
Even my natural one.
Okay, so what happens now?
Well, that technically the natural one is worth 2 natural 20s.
And the natural 1 is worth 2 fails.
2 fails. The natural 20 is a success.
Oh, it is? I thought it was 2 success. No?
Is it?
I don't know. Our group check rules vary sometimes.
Yeah.
You're the DM. Rule it how you want.
Pretty sure we should probably iron that out at some point. I am going to roll a perception check for not us. Well, we are not the tastiest thing around, apparently.
Okay, yeah.
Make it across uneventfully. Well, besides me going, woo!
Besides your wild flailing. So
hey,
we get to
for
the...
our last campaign.
Sorry?
This makes up for our last campaign, where I got ridden all the time. Okay, so we make it across. We climb up to slightly higher ground. We are now out of the water, and we are going to continue in our northeasterly direction.
Yes.
I would like you, as we pass by this giant creature.
Okay, how close are we going to this thing this way?
A lot closer than we were, but not necessarily close. So I would like you to roll 2 rolls. The first is going to be a perception check, no advantage. Just a straight perception check.
Okay, 19.
Alright. I would like you now to roll an insight check.
I do have insight, but I don't think it's going to be that good. No. 10.
Well, it wasn't a hard DC, fortunately for you. Even though this is a species that you're unfamiliar with. You've never really been around it. First off...
Would have read in books or whatever Ren told me, really.
Yeah, first off, you're not entirely sure that this is a hill giant. It is a giant, And it does seem to be wearing the usual kinds of garb that you'd expect from a hill giant, which is just like various hides and things just sewn together rather crudely. But it does seem to be, it is a giant. It is giantish. But the thing you notice most about it is it's not in any pain. It actually seems to have kind of like a nice bemused smile on its face, as if you were, or people in general were sitting in a nice hot spring and they were just, this is nice. That kind of look on their face.
It is also covered in these gelatinous blob things.
Whatever's happening over there, the giant doesn't seem to really mind. But is not a hill giant.
Okay. Well, addicts generally don't mind when they do horrible things to their bodies, and it still is massively detrimental to them, so that doesn't mean much.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
I think we continue on.
Yes.
Alright, it doesn't take too long. Matter of about a half hour, 40 minutes before we pass the swamp altogether. And we notice that the ground is beginning to rise on either side a little bit. Not by much, but you notice as it is generally a bit of a climb. And the river that we just crossed is now getting narrower, and the water seems to be getting faster. So, my question is, are you going to want to get back on the side we were on? Or do you want to continue on from this side? Because it is getting to the point now where you're not sure, but it might be getting more difficult to cross later on. You can manage it now, but possibly not later.
The question is, can you manage it?
I'm sure I can be carried with ease.
Why am I carrying you? You're the stronger of the two of us.
Oh yes, my strength of 10. Or what is my strength? Hold on a sec. Yes, my strength of 10.
Well, it's better than my 8.
Yes. Well, it's up to you. What do you want to do?
What do I want to do? Well, I have no real idea about either side, really.
Yes, it's more like just precedent more than anything else. We've been on the other side for so long. That's about it. We don't know what. We know the ravine is coming.
Yes, we know that is coming. We know the village Vyrn's Run is on the other side of it.
Yes. And it has absolutely nothing to do with this river. If there is a method, which we don't know yet, of crossing this ravine, it could be on this side, it could be on that side. We don't know.
And there is... Well, we do have one way of checking. You have an owl.
Yes.
The owl could fly ahead and just see if there's...
Alright, timing-wise, for us to walk...
Yes.
By this evening, by the end of our march, we are not going to be near the river. We're not going to be at the ravine yet. We suspect that we're going to probably get there around midday the next day. So owl fly time is going to be it's not going to be short, but it's she can obviously get there faster than we can.
Yes.
So I could have her fly ahead and have a look if you like.
Yes, because it's just going to help us with this initial decision here.
Alright, so we're going to take a few minutes break here while I sit down and find a comfortable spot and have her... I'm going to have her fly ahead, and then I'll look through her eyes, and her instructions are to fly to the ravine and then traverse back and forth until I dismiss her. So time goes by. It's not quite a short rest, but we're going to have a bit of a rest. Probably about a half hour total to do this. And I tell you, when I've done this, it doesn't make any difference. She flies up and down the ravine a little bit, and then I come to my senses and I say, there doesn't seem to be a bridge on either side. It doesn't make any difference. We're going to need to go there ourselves, I suspect, and figure out a way across.
Okay. Well, then, because that side we were on the river before was turning into basically a giant marsh with tons of those gelatinous creatures. My instinct just says I think we should probably stay on this side for now.
Okay. So, we've had a bit of a break. Had a snack if you like.
Yep.
And we... Oh, actually, it reminds me. Mark a day's worth of food off for today. I forgot to mention at the beginning of this.
Okay. There it is.
And then we continue on. I would like one more survival check, please. With advantage.
Well, the good news is it avoided the natural one.
Okay. The bad news is what, another 3?
11 in total.
Alright, that's fine. Believe it or not, it is getting easier to navigate. There's fewer pitfalls here. The DC was actually 10, so that's fine. And we do manage to take a little bit longer to get where we want to go because we had to do a couple of reversals and go around some certain things and climb over some stuff. But, long story short, we make it to the usual time of day when we decide it's time to find camp and settle down for the evening.
Okay.
So, with that survival check, I'll just meld that into our camping. We do find a mediocre spot and some amount of wood. Again, because of the damp day we've had, we're not going to probably be able to have a fire all night or anything. It's going to be kind of a damp, cool, slightly miserable night.
Okay.
So,
for you. For you.
You don't mind the damp.
No.
Well, you're not cold resistant, are you?
No.
No. So you find it a bit chilly.
I still like the cold, but still.
Yeah. Alright, so.
I'm going to be less miserable than you are.
Yes. We are going to set up the camp.
Yes, I'm going to take out my little bell on a silver thread, and I'm going to ritual cast alarm around their campsite.
Yep. And have a meal.
Yep.
Have a much smaller fire to see if we can get our meager amount of wood to last a little bit way through the night.
Yep.
And
at the very least, with prestidigitation, I can guarantee we can light it.
Yes. We will settle down. I'll take the first watch.
Okay.
And you'll take the second one.
Okay.
During my watch, there's a couple things I want to do, especially while the fire is still going. First off, I want to take that scroll of Disguise Self, and I want to take one of the pages of paper and some of the ink that we have,
Yep.
and I want to copy that into my spell book. Because we are getting really close, I think, now to Vyrn's Run, and I think it is going to be a very useful spell to have when we get there.
Okay.
And that gets rid of that scroll.
Yep.
And the other thing I want to do, after that miserable attempt I had last time for making a healing potion, I'm going to try and make another one.
Okay.
I only have one. Alright. Something's jinxed me. I don't know what it is.
Again?
I rolled a 2.
It's a medicine check, so
Not even close.
5. Wow. That's 2 sets of herbs you've wasted now.
Yes. This is actually beginning to really annoy me. And I'm going to spend the rest of my...
Yeah, so how does the roll for the watch go?
I haven't even done that part. Probably really poorly because I'm going to be stewing over this. No, natural 20. Now I roll the natural 20. So, a very grumpy Jonas wakes you up when it's time for your shift.
Okay. I am also going to ask to borrow, well, basically your spellbook for a moment. For a few hours during my shift.
You want to copy a spell?
Yes, I'm going to actually use the last bit of ink and parchment that we have for transcribing, and I'm going to copy sleep into my spellbook. Seems like it'll be a useful spell for both of us to have, and it's one of the few basic spells that we have access to that I don't have yet.
Alright, so you do that.
Yep.
That's not a roll or anything.
Nope, it's not.
But I want you to roll a perception check for the evening, please.
But that is the last bit of ink and paper we have. Do I get assistance from my familiar? Because she is going to be on watch too.
Of course you do.
Okay.
He has night vision and...
Sense of smell. Okay, so perception is 17 for me.
Alright.
I'll have to add sleep to my spellbook later.
So, in the wee hours of the night, something interesting happens.
Oh.
The first time...
Is this before or after I finish copying the spell? Because it does take 2 hours.
We'll say after. It doesn't really make any difference. It is basically in the middle of your shift, so... It is before dawn by a fair margin, but... So it's still really quite dark. But you hear this more than anything else.
Okay.
Something extremely large is moving through the forest. And in the sense, the way you know this is you feel the ground vibrate periodically, and you can hear the sound of wood scraping on wood as if something large is pushing its way through the woods. And not having any difficulty doing it, because periodically you also hear the cracks of the sound of branches of not a insignificant size snapping under the force that's being applied to them.
I mean, I have no way of answering this, but does this sound a little bit like the giant, possibly?
Roll a nature check, if you like.
I do have nature. 15.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, yeah, they're not paying attention. It definitely sounds like the sound you get when, say, 2 trees are really close together, and it's a strong windy day, and they're banging into each other. That is the sound of wood on wood.
So, not a giant, then, which would be a creature of flesh and blood.
Well, I mean, it could be a giant's club being bashed, not bashed, but rubbed up against things, but it's definitely a sound of wood scraping on wood. And
Is it? Okay. My other question is it coming in our direction?
it is following the river.
So that's a yes.
But it's not on our side.
Oh.
It's on the other side.
Oh, that's good.
And you know this meta game here for a second, because I'm going to do this side. This is perfect for this. You know those movies where they're up high or something, and something really huge is moving through the forest. You see the trees shaking and that sort of stuff.
This is done quite frequently.
Yeah, they do that all the time, and every now and then that's exactly what you see. You'll see a tree go poof, and then shake for a bit and go back. And once or twice during all this, a tree just completely goes crash.
Okay, well, I say to myself quietly, seems we made the right decision to stay on this side. I'm not going to be if this does not wake you up, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to let you get your rest, because this doesn't seem like a problem at the moment.
I will see how perceptive I am at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, really? Now I roll well. I do wake up at the sound of this crashing, because it is unusual. Our night times here, besides crickets and frogs and various squirrels and stuff,
And owls and things, yeah, it's been quite quiet.
there's been nothing out of the ordinary. This is the first truly out of the ordinary thing that has happened since this, and yes, I do wake up.
Okay. Yes, I do. I think we made the right decision to stay on this side.
It seems so, because that is, whatever that is, it is truly massive. And other than that, in about 4 or 5 minutes, it's heading on, and I relax.
Alright. This is just while I'm waiting on my watch. Is there any area around here that I can gather up some fine sand? Because that is the material component for sleep.
That might be a bit tricky. We were on, this is a forest, and
Yes.
it's a swampy forest. you can roll for it, but it's going to be a really hard find.
In the dark.
In the dark. In this loam and leaf-littered covered forest next to a swamp and a river.
I think it's fine. I don't think I'll bother at the moment, but I am going to want to keep an eye out for any amount of sand that could be fine enough to be used for sleep going forward.
Right. Well, I don't think you're going to find any rose petals either, so...
No, I don't feel like catching crickets.
Now that is a possibility, because there are...
Yes, finding crickets is a possibility. Me catching them is less so.
Alright. If there's nothing else you'd like to do, we shall move on to morning.
Yep.
Alright, so, the sun comes up.
Yep.
We are quite happy to have evaded a extremely large passing in the middle of the night.
Yep. We're marking off the day's worth of food.
Yep.
I get two.
Yeah, and a second day's worth of food.
I get 2 more portions. One of which is exactly the same. What is with me and rolling 3s all of a sudden?
Well, it's not so bad as a portent.
No.
Alright.
In case you're wondering, the other's a 13.
We do our morning ablutions.
Yep.
Have a bite to eat.
Yep. I return your spellbook to you.
I get my spellbook back. Speaking of which, did you change any spells that you're going to be preparing for today? Do you want to prepare to sleep?
No, which does make me looking for the material component a little pointless. No, I just wanted to have it going forward.
Alright. So,
We are going to be in a village or a settlement again relatively soon, hopefully. And it's going to be nice to not necessarily have to kill everything we run into.
alright. That's a good way to look at life. We're not going to kill everything we run into.
I can't cast the spell anyway at the moment.
You can't?
I do not have the sand. I don't have the material component. I do not have a focus like you do.
Yes. Alright. We get up.
Technically, I'm out of game here for a moment. I'm technically handicapping myself here because I do have a component pouch which lets me use it in place of material components in the Dungeon Master's Guide and Player's Handbook. But the way we run component pouches is that they are a pouch for spell components. So I do not have the sand. So that's just the way we run things.
Alright. Today is bright. Yesterday is bright and sunny compared to today. It's horribly overcast. It is obviously going to rain at some point, but it's not raining yet. The amount of mist and fog on the forest floor is even thicker. And I would like you to roll another survival check, please.
Hopefully we're not getting another storm today. There's been 2 of them so far since we've been trekking through these woods.
No, that hit us, yeah.
No, but they've all been in this direction we're heading.
Yeah.
Natural 20!
Hey! There we go! Alright. With that natural 20.
Somehow it's easier to to follow this trail today.
Somehow, even in the worst weather and the incline is getting a little bit more steep, and the river that we've been crossing is now sunk down into almost a little of its own little ravine. The banks on both sides are getting much more steep. Crossing now, for you, would be easy because it's less than 30 feet across.
Yeah.
But for me, it would be an interesting athletics check, I guess.
Something tells me we're better off on this side of the river at this point.
Alright, so we continue on.
Yeah.
We have stopped for lunch, and it is shortly after that that we begin to hear the sound of water falling.
I say, I think we are coming to the ravine.
Yes. And this is what we see. It is a little bit steeper than this, but 2 things catch your eye. First off, the entire... Oh, sorry, I should probably... mist. You
Okay,
can't.
so that's mist, not water. Okay.
Yes. It is fog. You can see it swirls and whatnot, and sometimes you can get a bit of a glimpse of water down below. Off in that direction, which is this way, is where the current, the stream that we're following, falls into the ravine. We can hear that roar. The fall is quite substantial. I mean, I did the flyby now twice, and I can tell you that this ravine is several hundred feet down. So that's what we're listening to. We can hear that, even though we are still probably about 100, 200 yards away. And once we get to the cliff edge, we notice these things, these additional things, I should say. First off, this was not there yesterday.
There's a fallen tree.
No, it's not just a fallen tree. This is almost to scale. The trees here are not the same size as the trees way back in the deep dark forest. The ones that are really massively tall and gnarled.
So these are smaller trees.
Yeah, but not that tree.
So
that tree is truly huge.
Okay.
Can you roll an intelligence check for me, please, or a nature check, whichever one you want?
All right. Well, I'll roll nature because I get a slightly better bonus to that. 19.
You're positive that species of tree isn't growing right around here or in that swamp we just passed by. That is definitely one of the trees from the deep, deep, dark forest where we had to cast light every hour just to see where we were going.
Okay. Well, there was something made with wood, something traveling through the forest deep last night, and there was wood on wood sounds. That might be how that got there.
I don't think your natural 20 that you rolled earlier is going to be milked this long for survival. You can roll another survival check if you want.
7.
You don't notice anything, it just seems to be there.
Just a theory.
Yeah. Two things of note. First off, that waterfall that's going down to the ravine is to our right. All of this is on the other side of that. We are on the wrong side of the ravine to access this natural bridge.
So you say. But I would like to point out that we were on the right side of the ravine to avoid whatever that was.
True. The river, which is now in a mini ravine heading into falls going into the major ravine, is actually not very far across anymore. It's about 10, 12 feet, varying a little bit. It is quite narrow here, and the water is rushing towards this and obviously cascading over into the ravine. What would you like to do?
You did mention there was 2 things we noticed.
Did I?
I think so.
Did I mention 2 things?
Oh,
No, it doesn't matter.
okay, so we have to cross this river again somehow.
Yes.
How fast is the current here?
Rushing.
Rushing. Okay, so not the sort of thing we want to swim across. Especially not because there's how much distance to the cliff?
It depends on how far close to the cliff you want to be. You can go back a ways and try crossing it. But to get to a point where you would feel comfortable swimming this, it's a better part of a half a day's march back.
This is hilarious. I know exactly what sort of first level spell that would make this very easy to cross. But no one ever takes it.
And that would be?
Jump.
Yep.
It's like no one takes that spell.
Well, we do have some things that are advantage.
Yes.
We have rope.
Yes.
We have a Misty Stepper.
I can Misty Step across. That doesn't help you. We can tie a rope to this side, and I can tie another rope to the opposite after a misty step.
Yep.
And we can make a rope bridge for you to cross.
Well, I do have my slippers of spider climb.
Yes.
That would make that much simpler, as in I can walk up vertical surfaces, so I think walking across a rope would be relatively straightforward.
Okay.
I haven't tried it before.
No, we've not. Feels like something we should have tested before this, but...
The things you should test out before heading on an adventure. There you go.
Oh, well, it's too late now.
Yes.
Alright. Well, I say we should secure the rope to this side first.
Yep, I will do so.
Okay.
It's only a 10 or 12 foot.
Okay.
Technically, I could jump across.
Technically you could, but this is the safer option, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so I can easily Misty Step across. I cannot Misty Step with the rope.
No.
So you will have to throw that
I
across.
will secure it to a tree on this side.
Yeah.
And I will wait for you to Misty Step across. Just mark off that spell.
Alright, so I will speak an incantation because I'll have to do it for the spell. And this bluish silver mist will surround me for briefly, and I vanish from one side and reappear on the other. I'm not going to go the full 30 feet. I'm going to teleport probably about 15 feet. So I'm just a little bit off, away from the bank. You said it's like 10 to 12 feet across?
10, 12, yeah.
Okay. Alright. And then I await you to throw the rope.
I will do so. I will haul the rope in and try again.
That's why we secured it.
Alright. My second toss is good.
Okay. Alright. I will take the rope.
I would like you to roll a dexterity check to tie the rope, please.
Okay.
See how secure it is.
Oh, tough decision here. I could roll. I could roll really badly. I do have a 13 portent, so I don't know if a 14 total is enough for this. That sounds fairly secure. That sounds better than what I probably will end up rolling. So I'm going to...
Alright, mark off your portent.
Yep.
And then out of satisfy my curiosity, could you roll, please?
Okay, so yeah, so 13 plus 1 is 14 for the portent.
Yeah.
And I roll a 5 to satisfy your curiosity. So that's versus a 6. I think I made the right decision here.
Yes, I think the rope is as secure as you can make it.
I say to you, so, what's your plan for untying the rope?
Buying a new rope when we reach Vyrn's run.
You do have Mage Hand. You could try to untie it.
Alright, well, first off, I'm going to cross the rope bridge. I'm going to get a branch. Actually, I have a staff.
You have a staff.
I'm going to balance my staff.
You have a literal staff to balance with.
Yep, and I am going to rely on my slippers spider climb.
Yep.
And I'm going to make it across this. I'm going to roll, and hopefully I don't roll really, really badly.
I'm not DMing, so I can't really say that. If I was DMing this, I would give you advantage, but that's up to you.
Well, we'll see what the roll is first. Good enough.
Good enough.
It's fiddling. I probably won't be able to stay upright the entire time, but with these boots,
You can walk.
I could be upside down. I could be climbing up a vertical surface.
I don't think you could be upside down. You'd be underwater in that case, I suspect.
Oh no, the water is not.
It's for down a fair bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the really good thing we didn't swim across then. Good grief.
No, it would be about a 20-foot jump down to the water.
Oh yeah, no, we have to climb up that. Yeah, no.
Then you have to get up the other side. Sorry. So I make it across.
Yeah.
Not vertical, but I make it across.
Okay.
And,
Well,
I will attempt.
I say it's a good thing you had got those slippers off that sorcerer.
Yes. Sure. Roll a 10 plus 2.
Okay.
That's good enough.
So your mage hand unties the rope.
Mage hand unties the rope. And we still have a rope.
You bring it across. I untie the side, and yep, you still have your rope to keep.
Yes. And we are now on the correct side of this ravine. Now, I take it you want to approach this tree.
Yes, because...
Alright.
First of all, I want to actually examine this tree, because this was not here before, so...
Yes.
I'd like to have a good idea of what happened.
Alright. When you get there, I would like you to roll... No, this is actually active, so roll an investigation check, and I'm going to help you, so give yourself advantage on this.
Natural 20.
Alright. This tree is indeed a tree from the deep dark forests, one of the species, and is actually one of the ones that was not alive. It was massively tall, but also extremely old. And you also notice that there are, you know how squirrels can make big nests, and it's been hollowed out in a number of places where things have lived in it. The key thing that you notice, though, is this was not dragged here. You notice, with that roll, even with the rocky bank and everything else, rather small footprints that are leading up to this, and then the tree is just here. And you notice, looking back along that path, there's trees that have been knocked aside, there's branches that have been broken and everything else, but there's no disturbance of the ground itself.
So you're trying to tell me something very small carried this massive tree through the forest and placed it here.
That is what you discern.
All right.
Not very small, but smaller than you and I.
Okay. We have either just discovered the world's... a team of the world's strongest gnomes, halflings, or dwarves, or there was some sort of weird creature that was small and ant-like in its strength.
There you
go. Okay, this bridge, so this tree I assume is wide enough to serve as a bridge to cross?
You wouldn't even have to roll. It is, it's a causeway across this ravine.
Okay.
Now the other thing I want you to notice, because of that really wonderful roll you made, is there's one other thing you see. In the mist.
Yes, I do see that.
This is just like the kind of like the top edge. You see what looks like there's a bit of a path and a narrow path leading down into. It looks. Hold on a second here.
Okay.
It's kind of like the top end of like a cliff dwelling. It kind of reminds you, if you're familiar with the southwestern Aboriginal natives that used to live in southwestern United States, the Anasazi, kind of like that. It's kind of like there's a bit of an overhang and a bit of, obviously they carved it out. Some sort of dwelling has been created down there, but it's like right at the mist level, and it's very, very difficult to see.
I'm just going to point out, it says, there appears to be some sort of building or structure that's been carved into the cliffside there.
Yes. That is going to be very interesting, but it's on the other side.
Well, we can cross easily enough and go take a look, I think.
Alright, so you approach this natural causeway. And as you go to...
Sure, we'll call it a natural causeway.
Why not? As you go to climb up on this side where there's a bunch of roots and everything else, you hear a very, very deep voice. Rumbling says, "Ah, my first toll."
And who says that?
Comes from the tree. It seems to be coming from the tree.
Okay.
Oh, like if you want to get more specific about where you think it might be coming from.
Perception, you said?
Yep.
21.
You're fairly certain with that roll that this voice is coming from one of those holes that you see that have been hollowed out of this tree.
Alright. So not a talking tree.
Not a talking tree.
I said, and you would be?
This is my home. To cross, you must pay a toll.
And what toll might that be?
I am hungry. And to cross, you must bring me a nice, fat, juicy deer.
I assume you can hear this too.
Oh yeah! This is a deep, rumbling voice. This thing is... If you can imagine the kind of body that would generate this, that giant that we saw back there, that's kind of the voice that that giant might have. This voice is truly from a big chest and a giant-sized larynx.
But the giant would not fit inside this tree.
Oh god, no.
So I'm going to assume this is one of those very strong, tiny things that carried this tree all the way here. That's my best guess.
Yep.
Have we even seen any deer in this woods?
Well, believe it or not, this individual has a suggestion. And the suggestion is, on the side of that little mini ravine that we had just crossed, down, to the north, on the other side, there is a nice pasture/glade that is teeming with deer.
On the side that we just crossed.
On the other side, yes. Should have left the rope there. Amazing how these things work out.
I wish my clairvoyance would help occasionally with these sorts of things.
I think that's much of a higher level than you are currently.
I find my portents. Alright, well, Alright, well, I think we should step away from this and discuss the situation.
Right.
Okay. Well, we could just repeat the process we did to cross this, leaving the rope bridge there this time.
Yes.
Until we are ready to cross. I can teleport once more.
Well, we have two options. We can pay the toll,
Yes.
or we can try and storm our way across this and not pay the toll.
Yes. I just look at the tree that has been carried here through the forest.
You couldn't even lift the smallest branch.
No. Yes, that does not seem like the easy option, though.
No. And we did, when we set out on this particular trip, I'd like to point out, we were planning on doing some survival hunting and stuff.
Yeah.
And we, besides literally cooking a partridge at the same time as I killed it,
Yep.
we have not done so.
True. But I was just expecting that to be something to look forward to the next time we set out from a town. Well, it does seem like the easier option to go try and hunt down a deer, which is something admittedly we've not done.
Yes. So, we recrossing that little mini ravine then?
Yes.
Alright. Mark off your second level spell slot. And we'll repeat the process. This time, I don't think you want to use the 3 of the portent, so would you please roll?
Oh dear. So that's a total of 8.
So, you rolled an 8. Alright.
Well, 7 plus 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, better than 3. I will fasten my in, of course, already, and we toss it across. I'm not going to bother rolling for the toss because it'll eventually get there.
Mm-hmm.
You roll that, and I'm going to roll across now. Well.
How bad?
That is interesting. That is interesting. knot indeed does slip a fair amount, but it does not let go. It was a near thing.
Okay.
Fortunately, I am wearing slippers that pretty much guarantee me making it across unless I roll really, really horribly, which I did not do. I do make it there, and when I get there, I'm going to refasten that side.
Yes. I can assist you with that if you want.
Alright, we'll just make it a higher there. Oh, there we go. We're in the point.
Okay. So now that we know that this rope bridge is secured, because we're going to have to leave it here.
Yes. And somehow managed to get a deer across. Alright.
Well, we can kill, skin, and cook the deer beforehand, and then just bring the meat across.
I don't think that was specified. I think he wants a nice big plump whole deer. Just my interpretation of the way that sounded. Not, deer jerky or deer stew or I think he wants the whole thing.
Well, getting it across might be difficult then.
Yep. Let's get a deer first, shall we?
Yes.
Alright, so
if only we had that floating disc spell.
Oh, yes. Well...
Can your unseen servant carry a deer?
I don't think the floating disc spell goes across open gaps anyway.
What about the rope?
I don't know if it counts. Anyway, that's a tangent.
The unseen servant definitely can cross the rope.
We hike along the ravine. Yeah. And we do indeed, within about 10, 15, 20 minutes, come to a bit of a clearing on our side, fortunately. Mm-hmm. That leads to a glade, and there are a fair number, a reasonable herd of deer grazing in kind of like the lee of the opposite side of the where the trees are.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so there's a few deer here?
Oh, quite a few.
Okay. Do we just...
Roll a nature check.
Oh, dear. That one's back to rolling 3s. 9.
That doesn't matter. The check is really quite low. If we go charging across this glade, running after deer,
yeah.
We're not going to see any of them.
No, they run.
We have to find a quiet and stealthy way of approaching this.
Mm-hmm. How far are the deer away from us?
On the other side of the glade, so 300 feet-ish.
Okay, so we are going to have to sneak up.
Yep. Well.
Alright, I guess we're trying to find a quiet place to get closer.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
I can cast invisibility on one of us.
One of us, yes.
Yes, one of us. And that person will have a greater chance of getting across.
Alright.
And hopefully tagging a deer.
Well, of the two of us, you are the stealthier. So you are the logical choice.
Alright. I will mark off a second level spell slot. Fortunately, I have prepared invisibility.
I think this is the first time you've cast it.
Yeah. I cast invisibility on myself, so I'm invisible for an hour.
Yep.
And then I am going to roll a survival check for starters to see if I am as smart as I think I am. Alright, so that is in the 20s. I know not to approach from upwind because they will scent me. And now, after wasting that, probably would have been 23 stealth check, I am going to now make a stealth
I'm going to make a suggestion. If they run, try and get them to run towards me.
So they fall into ravine. I know this hunting trick, except they usually find a ravine that's a little bit shallower than this one.
What?
Native Americans used to herd buffalo towards a ravine and have them fall into the ravine, and then they just have an easy chance of catching them.
I see. No, I meant just send them in my direction.
I will do my best. So, here we go.
How bad?
The lower number is a 1. The higher number is a 2. Alright,
So that's a total of 6, isn't it? Dex plus proficiency, I think. Yeah, that's not very good, is it?
No, that's really bad. So, at some point during my approach, I am going to spook.
I'm just going to roll for a moment. This is not going to impact anything. I'm just curious. Oh, good grief. So I would have had a 17 if I had rolled.
Yeah. I've spooked them. At some point in time, they've either caught my scent, or I sneezed, or something, and they are spooked. So I'm going to roll a d4 for what direction they're heading in.
Oh, no.
Depending on where I was when I did the spooking, because I was planning on, obviously, if I failed, to have them come towards you. This is just the cardinal directions. 1 is north, 2 is south.
I really hope they don't roll north.
3 is east, and 4 is west.
So east is the direction I'm in.
I have somehow managed to spook them to head in the southerly direction, which is actually not that bad because
It's not north.
it's not north, and towards the south, which is the direction we sort of came from, is that secondary ravine. So they only can spook for so far. So this is what you see. Nothing until all of a sudden the deer look up and then bolt past. Well, they're often this side of you, heading past you, heading towards where we've tied up the rope and that mini ravine.
Do they ever come within 120 feet of me, any of them?
They were 300 feet away to begin with. I'll give it a small chance. They are kind of panicking because they don't know anything at all about what's happening here. Well, that is a small chance. Yes, there is a deer that is coming within range of 120 feet.
Might be able to salvage this. Alright, well, I have no second level spell slots left, but I will cast Magic Missile at first.
Alright.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 11 points of force damage from all 3 magic missiles.
Alright, well, you don't have to roll to hit.
Nope. How many hit points does a deer have?
That is a good question.
Should I look up?
Yeah, you better, just in case.
Deer. Hit points 4.
Okay. Yes, you managed to kill a deer.
Okay. That works out perfectly fine.
Yeah, and it is now closer to the ravine than it was before, so, hey, win-win.
Yep.
So, I come up,
Well, that worked.
stop concentrating on my invisibility spell, and say, well, just as I planned.
Yes, as far as I'm aware, that worked perfectly.
Yeah. My 2 for my stealth doesn't come into it at all. Alright, so we now have a plump deer.
With 3 holes in it.
Wow. I know enough about survival, how to tie its legs together or put a pole between them, which would be just one of our stabs. So So I would like you to roll a strength check with advantage, please.
And this is where the plan falls apart.
Get it off the ground.
Okay. Well, perhaps fittingly, the highest roll, once I add my modifier to it, sorry, subtract my modifier from it, is an 8. 9 minus 1.
Alright. So we're going to take a bit of a break. Rest. Have a snack. And I'd like you to do that.
And use Arcane Recovery, if this is a long rest. Is this a short rest?
You want to do a short rest? Sure, why not? Let's do a short rest.
Well, this is sounding like one. I'll use it to gain a second level spell slot back.
And then, shall we try this again?
Sure. This is the ultimate argument that advantage is not everything. One better, 9. This is my character's weakness. His strength.
Alright, so this eventually is going to work. So
Eventually this is going to work, yes.
we're not going to roleplay this whole thing because it is not the most scintillating of storytelling. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll a d6, and that's going to be how long this is going to take us in hours to get this deer to our rope bridge. So 4 hours later, tired, achy muscles, we are now at our rope bridge.
Which we still have to cross with this.
Yes.
How heavy is a deer? I assume it's too heavy for a mage hand or unseen servant.
Oh yeah. Alright. We are both...
I do now have a second level spell slot.
Can you hold a deer and Misty Step with a deer?
I will... If it's something I'm going to just bring up my... Okay, no... Misty Step. That you teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. So things I'm carrying come with me.
Alright. Obviously you can't carry me in Misty Step because
No.
I'm a living individual.
The
deer
deer?
Is not.
No.
Now we can tie this deer to you, but you're going to need a strength check to see if you can support the deer all by yourself.
Oh, good.
This is going to be a harder DC than for the two of us, so you better roll high.
So no advantage this time, basically.
No, just straight roll and a high DC.
I'm going to use my other die here, D20, because the other two aren't working. Oh, well, that's just the ultimate insult to injury. 0. Natural 1 minus 1.
You can't get it off the ground. Oh, that is just too funny.
Yep. This is not a good day.
Well, but it does make sense,
Yes.
at least. I have a suggestion.
This is me, that I Misty Step across and you carry this thing?
Neither of us are going to carry this thing. We have a rope that's going across this already.
Mm-hmm.
So what we'll do is we have the legs trussed together, right? And we put a pole between it. What we're going to do now is untie them, tie them around our rope bridge, and probably put a branch in there as well or something just to give a bit of a buffer between the two ropes. You're going to tie a rope to the lead, which is like the head or the front legs. You Misty Step across. I'll throw that rope to you because fortunately I have 2 ropes. And then I'm going to walk across, and then we are going to pull the deer across.
Okay.
Long story short,
It's a good thing that we did the short rest then.
Yes. So mark off a second
That I just got back. Yep. Okay, I will teleport across.
And then we do that.
Yeah.
I want you to roll. Actually, never mind. This is going to happen. It's just going to see. I'm going to see how long it's going to take. Well, apparently we're better at it now. We managed within an hour to get the deer across, untangle all our ropes, and truss it up again, put a pole between its legs, and haul it to the tree. But it was fairly close distance, so that's not that bad.
Okay.
So, we get the deer there.
Yes.
We're tired. It was roughly around noon. It's now late in the afternoon, and we take the deer to the tree and announce that we have a toll. So we put the deer on top.
Is the deer rotting at this point?
Oh. And this is what happens. A fairly small creature. Something like that. Just fits inside the screen. Probably about 2 feet. It's kind of furry frog-like. Comes scuttling out of the hole.
Mm-hmm.
It has prehensile fingers and toes. It's hanging on to the log quite nicely. Comes up, sniffs the deer, and then opens up his mouth really, really wide and engulfs the whole deer in one go. But this is the odd thing. This thing was maybe a third the size of the deer to begin with, and afterwards is not any bigger. It belches loudly, gives you a thumbs up, and scuttles back into its hole.
Alright, well, I suggest we cross the bridge, go to the other side, and make camp.
Alright, so we cross over. It is a wide tree. I'm not going to make us roll because I swear we're going to roll a 1 and I'm going to have to think up something about it. This is a causeway. We can't fall off without being stupid about it, and I don't think I want to be stupid about it. So,
No.
we make it across.
Yes.
We make camp, and I would reverse the order of our...
Okay. Oh, not rolling a survival check for camp?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, the general survival for the camp? Sure, we'll do that.
Okay.
We'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
With your help?
Yep.
Well, no ones. That's good. 18.
Oh, this camp is so much better than the last one.
Yep.
Actually, this side of the ravine is actually much nicer than the other side.
It's probably a lot drier.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher in elevation, so it's quite a bit drier. The trees are actually more accustomed to, they're more like what we're accustomed to. They're like the ones we found on the plateau and then an initial part of our trek into the wilderness. We definitely seem to be out of that deep, dark, foreboding forest now. It's definitely something in our past. So we find lots of nice dry timber for our fires because there seems to be a number of dead trees here. The ones especially close to the ravine. We set up a nice camp, and I am going to take the second watch this time, let you sleep first, and I would like you to roll a perception check with advantage for your watch, please.
Sorry, you're taking the second watch?
Yes.
So I'm up first.
Yes, we're reversing our watches.
Okay.
But I think we do that every night anyway, don't we?
Yes, I think so. Okay, so once again, I'm going to, just every night I do the alarm spell around camp. Have my familiar out. Going to roll. This is perception, you said?
Yep.
16.
Well, you don't hear any strange noises in the night this time. Is there anything you want to do during your watch? Like besides watch?
I don't really have anything else. Nope.
Alright.
Did the last night.
You wake me up for my watch,
Yeah.
and during my watch, I am going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to roll my perception checks. That's not that bad.
And are you going to attempt to roll and make another healing potion?
Yes. Third time the charm. Don't want to say.
For those who are curious, this is a DC of 10.
So, it is a 11.
It's above 10.
Just make it.
There you go. You redeem yourself.
I don't know if I want to drink it, because it was kind of like, yeah, you pass, but you know, this may taste bad going down.
It might be the 51% on an exam potion.
It may be. The rest of the watch goes by uneventfully.
But it still succeeds, so you still have the potion.
I have a potion. Yes, it's better than a fail. So, morning comes. Mark off another day's worth of food, please.
Yep, and we get our new points, and we get our spell slots back. Middling. I hate those. Alright. Alright then.
So, we get our act together, and we head, I assume, we made camp roughly around this area.
Yeah.
And I suspect we're going to head down towards here.
Yes.
So, we do so. You notice as we get close to the spot where you noticed in the fog, which by the way is still here, it has been very cool in the mornings, and you suspect this day it might actually clear up enough that we see deeper into the ravine, but at the moment it's still, it's just filled with mist.
Even if not, I can disperse the fog a little, somewhat with my Destroy Water spell.
You notice, as we approach this on a Sosny-like area, there is indeed carved into the side of the cliff a pathway that winds along the cliff ravine downwards towards this place, which is probably about 30 to 40 feet below the lip of the ravine.
Okay. How
wide?
Yes, and I was going to ask, how slippery do these stones look?
It is early morning, so there is a bit of dew on them. But it is drier than it has been, especially on this side. And the mist is below where we currently are walking. But we are going to head down a little bit into the mist, so probably once we've proceeded probably about 30, 40, maybe 50 feet along this path, we may get to some rocks that are a little slippery. So at the moment it's fine.
Well, I could, like I said, use Destroy Water to just...
What's the area of effect on that?
The area of effect for Destroy Water?
Yeah.
Well, it's got a range of 30 feet, and it's because it's cast at second level, it's a 35-foot cube.
So, for all intents and purposes, you can clear 35 feet of pathway in front of us then.
So it's the pathway down is more than 35 feet?
Yes.
Okay.
You can prestidigitate each and every little section as it goes along. Take the rest of the morning getting there, or you can just see how it works out.
Alright.
So as we progress, we are getting to the section where it is a little bit slipperier.
I was just double checking that I prepared Featherfall. I did.
Actually, did I? I did not. Well, at least one of us has.
I have it. So how in the world I'm going to go back up here is anyone's
So
guess.
as we progress down, and we're getting closer to where the mist is, a small young voice. It's hard to tell. Trying to sound deeper register than it is, but you can tell it's fairly high tenor. It says, "Paul, this is our area. You can't come down here."
Do I see who's speaking?
Oh, you can roll a perception check if you like.
Yeah. Seven.
You do not see this person. There seems to be, as the wall goes down, there seems to be, you can't tell, but it looks like maybe a corner or a little bit of a lip there. You can just see what looks like a crossbow. You can't see anything else. But it looks like there's a small crossbow aimed up the ravine.
Is it down? So this is on the path heading down the stairs?
Well, there's no stairs. This is just like a carved rocky path. They do have. I mean, at some point in time in the past, this was well traveled, but now it is disused, and there's moss, and there's some loose rubble and that. But you can tell somewhere there's it's hard to tell because there's mist here everywhere. You rolled really bad, but there seems to be some kind of possible landing below, and definitely a turn of some kind. And right at that turn, you see not very high off the ground, a crossbow pointed at you, and looks smallish. The crossbow.
Alright, I say. Well, this is not the friendliest of greetings.
Well, this is our territory. You go find your own ruin to explore.
Ruins to explore, so this is not to your home, I say.
Roll an insight check.
Insight? 18.
Very good. Your threes have finally abandoned you.
For a 13 instead. For a 13 instead.
Yeah. Now the 3 is better a 13 than... Alright. This is... Initially you thought this was a young woman, but it actually is you recognize a bit of an accent. You're fairly certain that this person is a young gnome, but of the male gender.
Well, then, in Gnomish, which I speak...
Oh, you can speak Gnomish. There you go.
Yeah. I'm going to say, well, this is hardly the way to make a friendly acquaintance with someone.
I would like you to roll using your charisma. You have a plus.
I have a +1, yes.
Alright, let's see if we can make friends here.
Do I get an advantage for speaking Gnomish to this person?
Why not?
Alright. 2 good rolls. 19 total.
In Gnomish,
Yeah.
you can hear a little bit of humor in the voice. You seem a little tall, but it is nice to hear a friendly voice. But this is still our claim.
You've said "our" several times now.
Yes.
I said,
At this point, you hear a clamor of something coming from around the corner. You're not sure what it is initially, but it does sound possibly like a fight happening. Then you hear a scream, and then you hear some small detonations, and then you hear a blood-curdling scream that shocks the person that we're talking to.
okay, so not the person I'm talking to then.
No. This short gnome actually jumps out from their hiding spot, not pointing across at us anymore, looking, basically, has swapped around the corner, is now looking in towards whatever's around that corner, and you see a bright, flickering light as something comes hurtling out of there, and I would like you to roll a perception check because you don't see this for very long.
Natural 1. I don't get any details.
You see something on fire, looks humanoidish, screaming like someone who's on fire. Just horrible sound, and as they go running out of this possible Lord knows what, and plummet off the edge, and the screen continues, and then stops abruptly. And you see this gnome just sheer shock on their face as they're looking in that direction down there. The sounds of battle are still coming from there. And at this point, I think it's time for our break.
Okay.